I work in tech, and the people around me, like colleagues and friends from university, are by most measures intelligent. They're educated, they understand money well enough, and many of them have read like most of the money books. And almost all of them are still trading their time directly for money. Salary in, hours out. The same structure their parents had and their parents before that. For a while, I found this puzzling. If they know about index funds and compound interest and the FIRE movement, which is financial independence, retire early, why are they still here? Wait, why am I still here? Now, I've been thinking about this question seriously for about a year now, and what I found is more nuanced than I expected and more useful as well. So, first, it's worth being precise about what trading time for money actually means. Because, as usual, the phrase gets used loosely in a way that, forgets some important distinctions. Every form of earning involves time at some level. The person who owns 10 rental properties still spends time managing them. The YouTuber with 1 million subscribers still spends time making videos. So time is never fully removed from the equation. What varies is the coupling. In a salary, the coupling is tight and direct. You show up for specific hours, you receive a specific pay, and if you stop showing up, the pay stops immediately. So there is very little buffer between your time and your income. Now, in other income structures, the coupling is a bit looser. You invest time now for returns that arrive later and potentially continue after the direct time investment has ended. When people talk about escaping the time for money trap, what they usually mean is loosening the coupling. Not eliminating time from the equation, just introducing more buffer between effort and reward. Now, with that definition in place, why do smart people stay tightly coupled? Here are the 5 reasons I've identified from observations and conversations, and let's be honest, from self-reflection. So, reason 1, the salary compounds too. Now, this is the one that people underestimate. A high salary invested consistently over 20 years produces wealth. The maths of salary plus index funds is not as different from the maths of passive income, as the passive income community sometimes suggests. If you earn well, save aggressively, and invest systematically, the salary path works out. It's slower on the optionality side, but it's not a trap, it's just a different path to the same destination. Now, reason 2. The alternative requires skills the salary hasn't developed. Like building an audience or creating a product and basically running a business, these are all skills. Most people who are good at their job are not automatically good at these things. So the transition from a competent employee to a person who can generate income independently involves a real skill gap that takes real time to close. So staying in a salary while you develop these skills in parallel is often the rational choice. Now, reason 3, the downside risk is asymmetric. Your salary has a defined floor. You know roughly what you'll earn next year. Independent income doesn't. Yes, it can go up, but it can also go to zero. So for people with dependents, mortgages, or even low risk tolerance, the predictability of a salary, it's not just comfortable, it is necessary. So calling that a trap misunderstands what the salary is actually providing. Reason 4, the salary buys time to think. Now, this one is counterintuitive. When you're not in survival mode, Like when your bills are covered and there's no immediate financial crisis, you have the cognitive bandwidth to think clearly about alternatives. People building from financial pressure make worse decisions than people building from financial stability. The salary that funds the thinking is not the enemy of the escape, actually. It's often the thing that makes a thoughtful escape possible. Reason 5 is identity and meaning. Now, this is the one that gets talked about the least, but it also might matter the most. For a significant number of people, their work is meaningful to them. Not tolerable, but actually meaningful. The idea that everyone secretly wants to stop working and live on passive income is a projection from people who feel that way onto people who don't. Some people find deep satisfaction in their profession, and the salary is almost identical to that, so taking it away doesn't liberate them, it removes something they actually valued. The salary isn't always a cage. Sometimes it's a foundation. Now again, I want to say something directly because I think it gets lost in the financial independence conversation. The salary path is not a failure mode. For most people, in most situations, it is a reasonable way to organize a working life. It provides a structure, like predictable income, defined roles, a team, maybe benefits, maybe even professional development. And that has real value that isn't always visible until it's gone. So the problem is not the salary, the problem is just that the salary as the only option. The problem is when the tight coupling between time and income means that any disruption, like maybe you get ill, maybe you have some other responsibilities come up, maybe a desire for something different. Now that immediately becomes a financial crisis. So building other income streams is not about escaping work, it's about making the work you choose to do chosen. It's about having enough buffer between your time and your income that you can make decisions from a position of options rather than necessity. And I think that's a meaningful difference, and it's available alongside a salary, not instead of one. Now, with all of that said, here is the one thing a salary, however good, cannot reliably provide: optionality. The true ability to say no. No to the job that has gone toxic. No to the project that conflicts with your values. Or no to staying somewhere that no longer fits you. A salary gives you income, but it does not give you the freedom to stop taking the income without consequences. So there's financial security and real financial freedom. Now that is something I'm trying to get rid of. Not because the salary is the enemy, but I want the choice to be really, truly mine. Now, I'm one of the people I've been describing. As I said, I work in tech, I earn a reasonable salary, I invest consistently, and on the salary path, I'm doing most things right. And I still lie awake occasionally with the quiet awareness that all of it disappears the moment I'm no longer able or willing to show up. That's what I'm building against. Not the salary, but the fragility of depending on just one thing. Now here's what I would suggest to you for the next week. Of the 5 reasons I describe, so the salary compound, the skill gap, the asymmetric risk, the buys thinking time, identity and meaning, which one applies most honestly to your situation? Think about them. Because the reason you're still here, where you are, tells you a lot about what you'd need to change to be somewhere different. And I haven't thought about it clearly is also a valid answer. It's just now do this homework, Think about it. Which of the reasons applies most to you? Okay, so this topic is very complicated in a way I don't think gets acknowledged enough. And I want to reiterate, this salary path is not a mistake, but it can be a trade-off. And trade-offs are worth examining. I'm still figuring out my own version of this, but I will keep sharing as I do. Again, the comment section is open, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!